So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, happy time of day, whatever it is in the world that you are today. Received a really fantastic question today that goes like this. What's the best way to begin a Facebook marketing strategy and posting schedule? So, hello, I'm Rihanna M. Hill, and really glad to address this question here today for you. This is something that is asked very, very frequently, and I think is probably the most common question when we're first getting started with Facebook, especially Facebook marketing. So there's two parts to this question here. The first is beginning a Facebook marketing strategy. The second being beginning a posting schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and start by addressing the first one here, which is the Facebook marketing strategy and how we go about getting started there. So the first thing is intention. The second thing will be who are you trying to connect with. Third is the tone. Fourth is creating templates. And then the fifth will be key types of content. So I have 4 different examples here I'll review. And then, of course, the 80-20 rule. If you're not already familiar with that, I'll go over it again. So let's go ahead and circle back to these key points here for getting started with that Facebook marketing strategy. For intention, sit down and really think about why you're creating this Facebook page. A lot of those reasons will be to connect with your Facebook audience, to connect with an audience where they're at on Facebook, to share your business. Especially for an online business, it's very likely that this will be your storefront, or it's a connection to your website that'll be your storefront because you won't have a physical business in place. It's one of the really cool benefits of having Facebook and having a website is it gives you that physical address. So having that Facebook page will give you the traffic to your website as your storefront, or will be your storefront for you. So really just kind of think about that. Are you selling products on your actual Facebook page? Do you want the Facebook page to have products listed and have a store for you? Perhaps you are having a service-based business and your Facebook page is a great way for you to get your personality and your brand out there with lots of videos and such things. Or perhaps you're wanting to use your Facebook page as a way to get that traffic to your website, where you plan on having more information, connecting with people there, building an email list, etc. So this first step is to be able to answer those questions. What is your intention there for getting on Facebook and having that Facebook page? How is that going to serve your business and the rest of your business as a whole? So the second piece here is looking at who you want to connect with on Facebook. Now, there are different kinds of demographics for all types of social media. So it's kind of an interesting question to ask, and there certainly are more of one type of demographic on one social media site than another. However, most people in general, there are quite a lot of people on Facebook. So who do you want to connect with in your audience and why? Do you have maybe an age group? Maybe they have children, or where are they at in their life stage? What kind of things are they looking for? So think about who you're talking to, because as you're building this Facebook marketing strategy, as you're building your content, you're going to want to keep these people in mind, this target audience or a key persona, like you're talking to that person, because you want your marketing to sound, you don't want it to sound like marketing. You don't want it to sound like an ad. You want to sound more like you're having a conversation with a friend. Or maybe it's a little bit more formal if your brand is more formal. So think a lot about who that is that you're going to want to connect with. And that just melds right into the third point here, and that's your tone. So if you do have that more formal voice that you want to have, that more formal branding that fits with your brand, what does that look like? Or are you informal? Are you trying to get people to laugh? Do you have something funny? Or are you a lot more serious, perhaps somewhere in between? So that's the third stage that you want to think about, is what is the tone of your brand? The fourth step is, once you've got that all figured out, you can start creating some templates for yourself. So this is what we do in my business, Pancake Digital Solutions, is we create about 10 to 20 graphics or templates for social media posting, especially for Facebook, that we can reuse over and over again. This is a great place to start because then you don't have to restart your content every single time. You already have a basic template that you can just adjust as you go. So for example, if one of your templates is a quote, each time you come to adjust it, you'll just add a different quote in there. Or perhaps one time the background is blue and another time you add a pink background or put different photos on it or various pieces like that. So create those first 10 to 20 templates that'll be a part of your brand that has your logo on it, maybe some photos, certain things that you'll be able to duplicate and use again. Trust me, it'll help a lot in the long run. And it works great for Facebook because then all your posts look consistent. Your images look similar, your branding looks similar. It keeps that voice similar as you go. So next, you'll want to look at key types of content. So there's 4 types of content that you'll have that I'm going to suggest here that you can post. And I recommend coming up with something along those lines that fits the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule for Facebook is that you want about 80% of your content just to be informational, intriguing, interesting, something that your audience is going to connect with, such as a recipe or an informational video or a free checklist, something like that. And then that other 20% can be a little bit more promotional, talking about what you sell or offering products. But it's really important that a large majority of your content is just that interesting stuff. So with that in mind, I've sketched out 4 potential points that you could use. So for example, the first one would be information about one part of your business. So perhaps you have a baking business. And so the first one is going to be all about baking best tips with recipes, how to use your kitchen, all those sorts of things. Then we'll say the second point is going to be all about food. So you'll have a lot of different, you could do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So every second post is going to be about what kind of good food it is. How do quality ingredients help out when you're cooking something, etc. The third one, and I highly suggest this even if you don't do it all the time, is to have behind the scenes photos. So perhaps you have some bloopers of a time when you spilled something in your kitchen or your bakery, or show some pictures of your sewing machine, go live and show your office, talk about what you're doing. Those pieces of content really help to humanize your brand and humanize your business, show the people behind it. Those are the kind of things we just love to see as people, the people behind the business. And then that fourth one finally is you do actually want to share what your product or service is and let people know what it is that you're selling. So what kind of problems are you solving? Is the product going to do this? Anything like that, sharing a link to your store or sharing certain types of products on there. So once you have those key points of the types of content that you're going to want to have scheduled out, written out, then it's so much easier to go through and say, okay, post number 1, this is going to be about the kitchen. Post number 2, this is going to be about food. Post number 3, something behind the scenes. Post number 4, this is going to be about a product. And then you just can repeat that over and over again, plugging that into the templates you've already created for yourself, keeping in mind the tone that you want to have for your brand, as well as thinking about who you're talking to. So if you have all of this written down, every time you need to sit down to start writing Facebook posts or think about a marketing strategy, you already know these things and you don't have to recreate it from your mind over and over again. We call that a lot of creativity fatigue or content fatigue, which happens a lot in the agency world when people are just creating new content over and over and over again. A little bit of duplication can really, really help you out. So that is the first part of the question to what's the best way to begin a Facebook marketing strategy. So to recap those points, for a Facebook marketing strategy, you want to start with your intention, getting really, really clear on how this Facebook page is going to serve your business on a greater spectrum. Second, write down who you want to connect with, who's your target audience, what kind of people is your product or service going to really help out. Third, you want to think about your tone. So are you formal? Are you informal? Are you funny? Are you quirky? Do you cuss, or do you have Bible verses? What is that tone for your business? Fourth, create some templates for yourself for images. We use Canva, create about 10 to 20 images. It's fantastic. And then the fifth piece is creating that key type of content. So that would be the 80-20 rule, and having basically just the different types of chunks so that when you go down to write about something, you already know what your topics are. It's really easy to, instead of like, what are you going to write today? Saying, oh, what can you write about food today? So that helps out a lot. All right, so to move ahead into the second part of the question here, and that is creating a posting schedule. So for a posting schedule, there are 3 different things that you can do. So I'll give you 3 tips here that will really, you can pick one that makes the most sense for your business. That'll help you get to posting, because I know from talking with lots of people and from my own experience that it's not realistic to sit down and create a new post every single day. So these are 3 things that can help you. So the first is having something that you post monthly. So perhaps you schedule on like the first of the month or the last of the month, and set it up so that, excuse me, and set it up so that every day on the second of the month or the first Saturday of the month, you sit down and take those 10 to 20 templates and recreate them and then schedule them. With Facebook, you can use Facebook's native scheduling tool or their creative studio that they have, which now also includes Instagram. So what you can do is create some of that evergreen content. And by evergreen, I mean that stuff that doesn't expire. So quotes will always be relevant, or sharing something about your About You section. As well as you can do some holiday posts. So if you know, for example, that the New Year is coming up, you can schedule some New Year's posts ahead of time so that content goes out, but you don't necessarily have to be online at that exact time. The second thing is you can also do, well, returning back to the first thing, the monthly, you can also do this weekly. So that'll be like every Saturday or maybe every Friday, you focus on the content you create for your Facebook page. This is really good to do it more weekly rather than monthly. If you have a lot of updates or changes, such as new products that are coming in and you want to share those new products, or services changes, or just want to give more frequent weekly updates, where monthly just isn't going to be quite enough time to know what that is. But I do recommend scheduling at least a few things monthly, so that if you have a few really busy weeks, you still have content going out to maintain that consistency without feeling that pressure of, oh my goodness, I need to post something today. I haven't posted anything in 3 weeks, and feeling that guilt and all that. It's just not necessary. When you already have some basic things scheduled to go out, it takes that pressure off for you. So that's really exciting, at least for me. I think it makes it a lot more fun that way. And when you already have a scheduled time that you know you're going to work on it, you're not sitting there having it nag you at the back of your mind, oh, I should be doing this, oh, I should be doing this, because you know you're going to work on it at that specific time. So the next point I have is the daily piece. So now that you already have some scheduled content from that first point, the second point here is what you can do day to day. So that's when the fun, spontaneous content comes in. Let's say your sewing machine totally blows up, so you take some pictures and go to a coffee shop to do something different. Or this is a day where you finished a whole bunch of orders and you're taking all of the boxes to the post office. You can take a bunch of pictures of heading to the post office and have a little bit of fun there. So the daily is really good for those behind the scenes things, to share what's going on and some really cool points that you have around. And then the third thing is, I guess I mentioned this already, but use those scheduling tools. There's several out there that work really, really well. Facebook, if you're just using Facebook, using Facebook's internal scheduling tool is absolutely wonderful. It works great. And it also includes Instagram now. If you are also using other social media sites like Twitter and LinkedIn, we use a service called Sendable currently, or there's Hootsuite, Agorapost, all sorts of different softwares out there that can help you with this. And scheduling will really make a difference for you to have that consistency and know that time frame when you're creating content, so you don't have to deal with that every single day. So that is the basics for starting a posting schedule. So for posting, we want to look at the first point here to recap is scheduling some time every month or week to schedule that content for yourself ahead of time. Then the second piece is to have that daily content so that you can share some spontaneous moments, some fun pieces, really enjoy it and connect with your audience in a really genuine way. And then the third piece is take advantage of those scheduling tools. It'll really help you out. It'll also give you an idea of how frequently you should post based on how frequently people are commenting on your posts. If you keep sharing posts, people keep commenting on it, you could probably share more or less. Whatever you do that fits your brand, you circle back to that first point. So I'm so glad to get asked this question and really hope that these tips have been helpful for you. Thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful rest of your day.